Let's talk about God of War 4. That's coming out in 2018, and we got a little bit more of a taste at E3 this year. So overall, with the God of War games, I found them to be great action games. I mean, pretty much every entry in the series that has come out, including the PSP games, I have very much enjoyed. I mean, I have some favorites like God of War 2 I really loved, God of War 3, and God of War Ghost of Sparta I thought were the exceptional games out of the franchise. That's just my personal opinion. And I always thought it had some really great music to it. I always like having some really great music with my awesome action. So with the action, the stories were also really good too. And the prior games had a more of a visceral sense to its combat. It really fed into the narrative. And what I mean by that is Kratos was on a very much a revenge tale, and a very, with the blinders, up, revenge tale. He was just going in, he wanted to take these guys out that he did not like, and that was it. And the actual gameplay reflected his emotions, like how visceral he was, how angry he was at these people. I mean, you just rip a guy's head off. That's nasty. You just pop the thing off. It's really satisfying too at the same time, in a weird way. But the new God of War game looks to take the franchise in a very different direction, and it seems to be polarizing with the audience. First, the big change that I've seen so far is where the camera is placed in the new game. Where it was placed in the prior games in an overhead position and in a fixed camera spot, and then you would fight in these combat arenas, now it seems to be that the camera is really hugging the back of Kratos, like you are right with him as if you're experiencing everything he is experiencing. And I feel like this new camera approach, this new gameplay approach, is to reflect the difference in their take in story this time. It seems like this is going to be more of an intimate tale with Kratos and his son, a more character-driven narrative. The combos and the fast gameplay due to be intact, but from a different perspective. Also, 4 seems to be tackling the Norse mythology, which I think is a really interesting choice for this, where before we were tackling the Greek mythology. Here we're in a totally different realm, and I don't even really understand how this works with Greek and then Norse. Do we have different realms of mythologies that are going on at the same time, and you can jump between them? The trailers seem to hint something like that, and that definitely opens up something very interesting for the narrative, is to kind of have those little crossovers. So with that aspect, I am looking forward to them trying something new. In regards to the new narrative, I really enjoy the kind of father and son or father and daughter type of storyline that we've seen in movies and video games before. I do think this is very neat, and it brings out some very nice opportunities for its narrative. One big thing I think that would be really cool is by having a child in the game, through the child's eyes, the audience is able to experience the beauty in certain things that we would just take for granted as an adult, but the child is seeing something for the first time, so we kind of get to take a step back and be like, wow, that really would be something really beautiful. Just as an example, say the child has never seen a snowfall before, and now in this game they're seeing snow for the first time, and they kind of just take in that moment. Think of something from The Last of Us, where Ellie gets to see a giraffe and then pet a giraffe. It's a small moment, but it's a moment that really lends itself to the humanity and really helps grow its characters and show the humanity within the game and its characters, thus making them more relatable. At the same time too, with a child, the player being able to experience through a child's eyes something that is really beautiful, you can show the harsh realism in certain scenes too, so it works in both ways. And I think these types of stories do bring some very hard narratives in terms of being able to watch, but at the same time bring some really emotional ones. And who doesn't love playing a game where you kind of get your feels get all wrapped up into it? That's awesome stuff. Now definitely from the trailers that they've shown so far, I'm getting a very Logan, Last of Us type of tone from this game. And I'm open to the changes to them, especially with the gameplay and how the narrative is. Now, in regards to the narrative, since they are making a lot of changes in terms of the mythology setting, where the camera is placed, potentially how the gameplay is going to work, and all these things, I'm okay with the changes as long as the game builds from the last couple God of War games. If they don't really make any reference to what he's done before, and potentially we see growth with the character because of what he's experienced, then part of me kind of feels like they just slapped the God of War name on there and was like, okay, we'll just use the name and really come out with a Viking game and we'll relate it to Kratos. Where if that situation happened, I would just say it would have been better off if you created a completely new IP and, made it the Sony Viking game instead of calling it God of War. But time will only tell with that, and when we can finally get our hands on it, will we only be able to really decide that? As of right now, I am really looking forward to the new God of War. I like what I'm seeing. Yes, a lot of the stuff is very different, so I can totally understand someone being like, no, I'm not interested in it at all. Or I can see someone being like, well, this does look different and I want to see where it goes. One thing I will say is just try to keep an open mind. I know people have their criticisms and their comments and everything like that, even me, but try to go into the game with a fresh mind, without any preconceived notions, so that you can just judge the game on its own merits. And if it sucks at the end of the day, then, well, you played the game and now you can provide some really good criticism on it because you played it, you gave it a chance. Or you might be pleasantly surprised. Who knows? But I want to say thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you'd like to see more content like this, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. One more note, I am kind of doing a crossover video with my buddy over in the UK, and I will be linking his stuff in the comments and at the end of this video. We're kind of going to be doing a discussion. We both have different opinions on the new God of War game. We figured that it would be a really good opportunity for us to kind of have a little bit of a discussion on that with two people who really enjoy the God of War franchise but come at it from different sides. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you next time.